Meanwhile, IEBC Commissioner Irene Masit has rubbished the claims that she met with top political operatives from the Azimio One Kenya at the Yaya apartments through her lawyer Donald Kipkorir. Masit claims that the CCTV footage and logs from the hotel are fictitious. In her defense, she says it is not criminal for an individual to visit a public hotel. And as Sydney Chazima reports, it appears her request to have the tribunal defer its hearing will not sail through. The High Court in Meru has thrown away a petition to stop the investigations against the Cherera Four.
After NTV broke the news on the alleged meetings between the four commissioners and top Azimio One Kenya politicians at Yaya apartments, documents seen by NTV filed before the tribunal by Commissioner Irene Masit through her lawyer Donald Kipkorir show that the commissioner negates the story, saying that the CCTV footage and the logs are fake. Masit goes on to state that it is not criminal or nefarious to enter into a public hotel, arguing that in accessing such information, the right to privacy as enshrined in Article 31 of the Constitution was violated. And in view of the fact that through her lawyer, Masit argues that the Muchelule-led tribunal has no jurisdiction to hear the matter, adding that part of the evidence was obtained unlawfully in blatant violation of Article 50 of the Constitution. She adds that the electronic evidence, in this case, the CCTV footage, does not comply with Section 106B of the Evidence Act. Masit had urged the tribunal to defer the hearing until the petition filed to stop the tribunal from investigating the four commissioners was determined. But the High Court in Meru has thrown out the petition, giving the tribunal the green light to proceed with its investigations. The tribunal commences its hearing on the 20th of December. IEBC Chair Wafula Chebukati is expected to be a key witness in the proceedings. Sydney Chazima, NTV.
Thanks, Sydney. Well, on the other hand, members of the Meru County Assembly have voted to impeach Governor Kawira Mwangaza. 67 of the 69 members of the County Assembly who were present in the House on Wednesday unanimously voted to remove her from office over alleged nepotism, illegal appointments, unlawful dismissals, misleading campaigns against other leaders, and gross violation of the Constitution. Our regional reporter, Margaret Kimathi, has that story.
Dressed in black suits, white shirts and red ties, members of the Meru County Assembly broke into song and dance outside the Assembly ahead of the hearing of the impeachment motion against Governor Kawira Mwangaza.
Honorable Patrick Mutuma.
I vote yes.
After this, the MCAs debated extensively on the impeachment motion against Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza, where 67 out of 69 MCAs voted in favor of motion while 2 others were absent.
The ayes are voted 67, the nay is 0, the abstain is 0, and those present were 2. Those absent were 2. Honored members, I wish to declare the ayes have it, and the Governor of Meru, Honorable Bishop Kawira Mwangaza, stand impeached the Meru County Assembly. Thank you, honourable members.
While stating and standing by the motion accusations against Meru Governor Kawira Mwangaza, the MCAs say that the county is more important than an individual, with even women MCAs lamenting that they are in pain to see one of their own impeached.
My heart is aching. My heart is paining at the thought that I'm standing here to impeach or to support a motion to impeach one of my own or a fellow woman.
There comes a time when this county of Meru is more important than an individual, Mr. Speaker.
Governor Kawira Mwangaza is not a reflection of who the Meru leaders are. She's just an exceptional case that should be treated as such.
In a 7-day notice of motion filed on Tuesday, December 6th, Meru County Assembly Minority Whip Dennis Kiogora accused the governor of gross misconduct, appointment of her husband to the county office, and wrongly dismissing county officers.
By Friday, the Speaker will have communicated with the Speaker of the Senate about the approval of the impeachment motion. Then within 7 days, the Speaker of the Senate has to convince a sitting of the Senate to hear the charges against the governor.
On her part, Mwangaza says the county assembly members were in contempt of court for tabling a fresh motion against her. In a statement issued through her lawyer, the embattled county chief has vowed to seek redress in court, even as residents called for a truce between the two arms of devolved unit. Margaret Kimathi, NTV.
Well, rally driver Maxine Wahome has been released on a cash bail of 100,000 shillings over claims that she assaulted her boyfriend Asad Khan, who is currently hospitalized and in critical condition in the intensive care unit. The police wanted to hold her in custody for 14 days in order to complete the investigations into the matter. Our reporter Elijah Oko tells us more.
Maxine, a quick word. Congratulations. What is your take on the safari this time round? The first time on a Ford Fiesta?
Kenyan celebrity rally driver Maxine Wahome is accused of assaulting her boyfriend Asad Khan, also known as Kalulu, on Jamhuri Day after she apparently returned home drunk from a dinner party she attended on the 11th of December. According to a family member who spoke exclusively to Nation, Asad is in critical condition fighting for his life at the Avenue Hospital, having lost a lot of blood after the brutal assault which left him with serious head and leg injuries. Maxine spent a day in police custody after the matter was reported to Kilimani police station by Khan's brother Adil Khan, who then promptly went to arrest the rally driver. Preliminary investigations by police indicated that Khan sustained a deep cut on his ankle, which was allegedly inflicted by Maxine. In a court today, Nairobi Magistrate Bernard Ochoi said that there was no compelling reasons to keep the 24-year-old in custody as requested by the police.
When I look at the 10 reasons given at paragraph 10 of the supporting affidavit, I find that none of the said grounds is a compelling reason to warrant pretrial detention, as all the aspects mentioned can be covered while the suspect is out on bond.
Ochoi could, however, not establish whether Maxine or Asad was the victim until investigations are conducted by the police.
The Victim Protection Act defines a victim as a natural person who suffers injury, loss, or damage as a consequence of an offense. It is premature for this court to, at this stage, label any party herein as such.
The court, however, ordered Maxine to be reporting to the investigating officer at the Kilimani police station every Monday until the probe into the matter is determined. Maxine made history mid this year when she became the first Kenyan to win the World Rally Championship 3 when she won the Safari Rally leg in June. Elijah Ouko, NTV.
And we'll certainly continue following up on that development. Now, 10 families are still reeling in shock following the tragic accident that occurred on Tuesday evening at Ngata Bridge along the Nakuru-Eldoret Highway. That same night, 3 other people were killed in separate accidents that occurred in Gilgil and Molo along the same highway, robbing more families of their loved ones. As NTV's Ruth Samuel reports, the government is calling for road users to exercise caution as they head into the festive season, with police data indicating that 15 people have since died from road crashes along the Nakuru-Eldoret Highway in just a span of 2 weeks.
Joe Koech was to celebrate his wedding anniversary with his now late wife, Rose Mwende Koech, but that changed on Tuesday evening at Ngata, 11 kilometers from Nakuru town, when a lorry lost control and rammed into a matatu, killing his wife. The celebrations that would have now become burial preparations.
Tarehe ya leo ndio tulikuwa nasherehekea kuoana naye.
How many years?
As from 1991 to now.
60-year-old Rose was traveling back from Nairobi after picking her grandchild ahead of the Christmas festivities when the accident occurred.
Mtoto mdogo ndiye alitusaidia. Huyu mtoto wa mwaka 8 akapiga simu kwa baba yake, hata akanipigia. Tukashangaa sana na hiyo mtoto.
Kama sio msichana mdogo 8 years kutupigia simu, sasa tungekuwa tunatafuta yeye, hatujui aliko kwenye yako. Sababu ni msichana mdogo alipigia mama yake na baba yake simu pale PGH, akasema tumepata accident na sijui shosho yako wapi.
Anthony Onyango also lost his kin on Tuesday's 5:30 p.m. fatal crash. He was expecting his sister-in-law at his home in Eldoret.
Tulimpiga simu by saa 11 na dakika 12. Akatuambia amefika Nakuru, anateremka na kuja. Sasa tu kumpigia simu tena. Sasa kuwatch news ya saa 1, kaambia dada yake kuna news wametangaza hapa imefanyika, ni accident imefanyika njia ya Nakuru kuelekea Eldoret. Hebu pigia Celestine tujue hako kwa hali gani. Immediately Caroline ambaye ni dada yake akapiga simu. Simu ikalia mara ya kwanza haikushikwa, mara ya pili haikushikwa, mara ya tatu haikushikwa.
And after the news of the accident, he was forced to travel to Nakuru, after which his fears were confirmed.
Kuja hapa hivi haikuwa rahisi ku identify mwili ya Celestine sababu hapa hivi ilikuwa imeharibika sana.
These two families are among 15 others that have lost their loved ones in road crashes that have occurred along the Nakuru-Eldoret highway in a span of 2 weeks. Police say 238 accidents have been reported in Nakuru since January, where 30 people have succumbed to injuries.
Sababu kubwa ya ajali hii kutokana na uchunguzi wetu ni kitu kinaitwa free wheeling. Mtu anaweka lori yake ama trailer yake huko juu, asave mafuta ya shilingi 200 ama 2000. Anakuja kuua watu sababu wanatembea na speed ya juu sana.
Kitu ya kwanza kabisa watatengeneza ile signage, ile sign ya kuonyesha speed limit na slow down. Na tumekubaliana kwamba hizo wanaiweka by Friday. Pia wataweka zile rumble strips pale juu mahali malori zinaanza kuachilia vile imesemekana. Nataka strict enforcement ya ile 50 km rule katika hii stretch.
The police also say they have identified the owner of the Ugandan-based trailer but are looking for the driver who escaped. 16 other people are receiving treatment at different hospitals in Nakuru.
Currently, all the 8, we are still giving them critical care management. However, we've been able to stabilize them. 3 are currently in theater and we are waiting to see how it goes.
Kama kuna insurance italipa hiyo kitu, sababu hata nimeona gari ni ya Uganda, na ikiwa watalipa mtufuatilie kwa sababu hatungetaka mtu apotee kama kuku.
Tumesikitika sana. Tunaomba kama familia penye serikali inaweza tusaidia, itusaidie.
Ruth Sarmoi, NTV, Nakuru.
Well, the Anti-Corruption Commission says it will partner with NHIF in the fight against corruption. The partnership aims to offer quality healthcare services to Kenyans. EACC chairperson Eliud Wabukala said the negative impact on the quality of services offered to the public is due to the state of corruption at the NHIF.
The National Health Insurance Fund, NHIF, loses 10 billion shillings every year through fraudulent claims. According to NHIF, the funds are lost through impersonation and fictitious claims by public and private hospitals, thus denying millions of deserving Kenyans quality health care. During a 3-day training in Naivasha, EACC chairperson Eliud Wabukala said they will also come up with mitigation measures in respect to the management and administration of NHIF.
We want to see whether people at the board level of management for institutions embrace this culture change. And as you know, when it begins at the top, it rolls down to every person in the organization.
In medical insurance, claims come in fake form. The board has the powers to shut down those facilities, and the act is very clear. It is 3 years suspension. I can tell you no health facility would want to be shut from NHIF for a month even. So once we make examples of one, the others are able to learn.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission has also embarked on recovering more than 33 billion shillings assets illegally acquired. The Commission has so far concluded 501 investigations on corruption and related offences touching on high-profile individuals. 191 cases have been finalized in court. Those on the radar include 9 former governors, principal secretaries, senators, MPs and managing directors of state corporations, among others. EACC has also recovered assets worth 22.8 billion shillings. The Commission has also initiated civil suits against individuals involved in illegal possession of government assets to ensure they face the law for their actions. Rozongoi, NTV.
Well, to education matters now, and the Education Cabinet Secretary Ezekiel Mashogu has asked teachers to be realistic in their 60% pay increment demand. The CS appealed to teachers to consider the current economic situation the country is facing, even as they agitate for an upward salary review. Okukusa has more.
In a speech read on his behalf by Nelson Sifuna, Nyanza Regional Education Director, during the 62nd NAT Annual Delegates Conference held in Kisumu, CS Machogu asked teachers to make wide consultations while putting the learners' interests at heart.
I am informed that you have already raised concerns about inflation and your current collective bargaining agreement of 2021-2025, which did not have a monetary component. I call upon your leaders to be realistic in reaping the signs of the day.
But in a quick rejoinder, the NAT Secretary General Collins Oyu said the proposal of 60% salary increment across board is based on the fact that teachers are yet to be cushioned from the ever-rising cost of living since 2017.
Teacher Service Commission must live to what they promise, if indeed the relationship is what we actually address here as Collins.
His sentiments were supported by KUPPET Secretary General Akelo Misori, who was among the invited guests at the conference.
When President Kibaki, the late Kibaki, came on board, he gave us 17 billion, which correctly removed the anomalies in the pay disparities. In his last term, President Uhuru Kenyatta gave us 54 billion, which basically addressed the issue of administrators of our institutions. Now, Dr. William Ruto must devote a lot of money because he is employing further than 30,000, and he is also having in his register over 350,000. Those teachers who are basically the ones who are suffering the most in the class.
On the government's plan to employ additional 30,000 teachers, NAT Secretary General warned politicians to keep off the exercise, while some speakers dismissed the government's move as a drop in the ocean.
Employing teachers by law is in the hands of Teacher Service Commission. We shall not allow anybody to purport to be employing teachers. We shall not allow anybody to purport to be employing teachers.
Okukusa, NTV.
Has launched a nationwide crackdown on illicit alcohol and drugs ahead of the festive season. The operation will be coordinated by the Ministry of Interior, working together with the Kenya Revenue Authority, the National Authority for the Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse, that is NACADA, among other agencies. Martin Mwangi has more.
Speaking during a consultative meeting ahead of the operation rollout, the Interior Principal Secretary Raymond Omolo said that the planned exercise will target the sale of counterfeit alcoholic drinks. It is also aimed at protecting the licensed and legitimate businesses.
The consumption of illicit alcohol and drugs tend to rise during the festive season. As we approach Christmas and the New Year, the country will likely experience a major spike in this uptake. This crackdown is therefore timely as it mitigates the potential harm wrought on our people by illicit brews and counterfeit alcohol that is mostly traded in non-compliant premises.
Omolo, however, emphasized that the crackdown will not only target illicit alcohol, but will be extended to alcoholic premises operating in residential areas.
The government is not against legitimate alcohol business. Licensed trade in legit alcohol is an important economic activity that will be accorded the necessary support and security. Equally, the right for adults to consume alcohol in a manner that is not prescribed by laws must be respected.
The Inspector General of Police, Japhet Koome, on his part, warned that his officers will not tolerate drink driving.
Let's avoid that excitement of
the month of December. We shall be along the roads, no negotiations. Once you are arrested, don't start calling Inspector General. I will not pick your call because you go to the cell, then to court.
Meanwhile, a crackdown conducted in Kiambu has seen police seize illicit brew and rolls of bang, all believed to be worth about 2 million shillings.
So I want to give a warning to these brewers. They are brewing illegal drinks, illegal items, and even bottling them with companies like East African Bottles. We are not going to encourage that one at all. And you cannot enrich yourself by selling poison to members of public.
Martin Mwangi, NTV.
All right, thanks, Martin, for that. Well, time to look at what's in the dailies. And of course, we'll begin with the Daily Nation. In a moment, I'll be introducing my panelists so that we can also have just a quick look at what's in the dailies. The Daily Nation, this is what we have on the very front page. Ruto's kitchen cabinet, the inner circle. President William Ruto has crafted a tightly knit team of trusted allies consisting of security chiefs, financial and economic experts, information technology gurus and business moguls in a bid to help shape his legacy. And the list of confidence is a mix of the new and old. That's on pages 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation. We'll have a look at that, and you can see a number of faces there. The official and unofficial individuals who serve as advisors to the head of state. You have Raymond Omolo, the Interior Permanent Secretary. You have Mary Wambui, who is the CAK chairperson. Farouk Kibet, the long-serving aide. Katole Metito, State House Controller. Gladys Beausoleil, the National Assembly Deputy Speaker there. And we just take a look at that report very quickly, and we have it on pages 4 and 5. And the kitchen cabinet refers to a group of unofficial or sometimes official advisors to the president and who are considered to be unduly influential. And of course, the president, whose campaign mantra centered around the bottom-up economic approach within his first 100 days. And of course, looking at some of the issues coming up from that as well. I know some concerns. Well, in that sense, let me get that to that page just very quickly. Okay, so the president, whose campaign mantra centered around that economic approach, insiders in his government have revealed his formation of what many now call a kitchen cabinet to help him drive his agenda. And allow me to introduce my panelists this morning so that we can just touch on a number of these issues making headlines in the dailies. Beatrice Elachi, Dagoretti North Member of Parliament. Karibu sana, good morning. Thanks. And we also have Gathoni Wamushomba, Githunguri Member of Parliament. A very good morning.
Good
Karibu
morning.
to AM Live.
Morning.
Catherine Omanyo, Busia Woman County MP. Thank you so much for joining us, Catherine, once again. And Wanjiru Nguhi, the Fumbua Program Manager, Baraza Media Lab, a young woman leader in her own right. Thank you so much for joining us, Wanjiru, for that. Let me begin with you, Madam Elachi Mheshimiwa. I mean, the kitchen cabinet, how is it so important for a president to have these trusted individuals within, you know, his government in order to drive his agenda? Is it important for the president to have this?
It's always important. I think all presidents have had kitchen cabinets.
Right.
It's always important as long as you, as a president, you also manage so that you don't find yourself having inter-conflict with also the other advisors. But I think it's important, and I'm hoping there are good advisors that will tell him the critics, that will tell him the truth. When you vitu ziko ground, eh?
Right.
Yes, not to just come and please you. They are supposed to give you now what no any other person is able to tell you. So it means these are people you trust. When they tell you things are not good, you will indeed know that things are not good.
Right.
Yeah.
Mheshimiwa, I mean, when we're looking at these men and women, Mheshimiwa Gathoni, why is it so important? Looking at these men, are they the people who the president has extreme trust in his government?
First of all, I don't know where you got this list from, because it's Daily Nation.
So you doubt it?
Yeah, of course. I doubt it very heavily, because of course I know there are other people who are missing in this list who would be actually be adding more value to the headline. Number two, it's always advisable for any president to have his advisors, you know, people he trusts, people he has believed in, people he has worked with, and people he feel warm around, and people who will always tell him the truth.
Right.
And most importantly, now that this is a new government, coming from a transitional government where we, you know, had a lot of challenges, the people who are the so-called kitchen cabinet are people who should actually interpret the campaign manifesto very clearly, advise the president on how to implement, because it is on the basis of that manifesto that he got elected. So I am not so sure whether this is the right list of the kitchen cabinet.
You have your own.
You can see how I'm dressed. I mean, I still am wearing my party colors,
right.
and therefore I am very loyal to my party, and so I should be here also. So I don't know where you got this list from, but anyway, all said and done, I think this is what every president should do.
Okay, let me hear from Mheshimiwa Catherine.
Yes, actually, to be among the kitchen cabinet, you know, it means you are close to the heart of the president, and you are a thinker, because sometimes to be a leader, even at our level, you are always constantly being told of needs and other things that must keep the nation rolling. So you must have sober people around you, people who shape the way people look at things. Even if you're wrong, there's a way they can still give an excuse that is sound, and people go happy. And they can make you or destroy you at the same time. They should not be self-centered or egocentric kind of characters, because being a new president, we are assuming that he's not been in leadership, because he's a new president. Right. He must begin with things that are firm, a firmer foundation in his leadership.
All right.
So it's that important to have those people that are not egocentric.
Right. Let's hear from Wanjiru as we move on to the next story.
All right, thank you so much. There's usually a joke that is usually made. I don't know if it's a joke or it's an excuse we make, where we say, yes, Simba ni wale watu wamemzunguka. You know, like meaning to say he's not a bad person, it's the people who surround him.
Right.
And I think the importance of a kitchen cabinet, it's not just the advisory, but it also tells us who the president is and who the priorities are. Because show me the people around you and I'll tell you what kind of a person you are. And so the kitchen cabinet should really bust the myth that it's not really about you, but the people around you. But if the people around you are not thinkers, if the people around you do not believe in your manifesto or do not believe in the things you know, that are important to the people, then it means that also the administration will not you know, will not do what the people need you know, need it to do. So the kitchen cabinet is also a mirror into the priorities of the president, the character of the administration, and the character of the and also what to expect you know, from the administration. So those are the people we should be looking at to understand who is this president, what are their priorities, and what is really the deal with this administration.
And the agenda of the government.
And the agenda, absolutely.
All right, so let's move forward to another report here that many have perhaps found it quite shocking. Meru MCAs show Kawira the door after just 112 days. Well, the MCAs voted by roll call, with each being required to stand and proclaim their choice, and they all approved her ouster. So now the Meru governor has kicked out of office, and in just 112 days in power. The members of the county assembly who were present voted unanimously to impeach Mwangaza on claims of gross misconduct, abuse of office, and gross violation of the constitution and county laws. The MCAs voted by the roll call, like I said. The motion mover, Minority Whip Dennis Kiogora, accused the governor of, among many other issues, nepotism, illegal appointments, and unlawful dismissals. Mheshimiwa Beatrice, were you shocked by the developments in Meru?
No. No, I was not shocked. Let me say I was not shocked. Not in, you see, it's very unfortunate.
Correct.
But I think it's because many of us who are outside will not understand. You see, that is one thing I want to really say, that we will not understand exactly what are the key issues. You know, you see the face. So you'll see there's many things people talk about, but the inner, we will not understand. But I will say this, you know, it's unfortunate. All I want to tell the governor, I think the law, sometimes the law is very harsh on women, and that is why sometimes women always go extra mile, and I know my chair is here, extra mile in thinking on how you will manage issues, not just of your county, your constituency, your ward, in any structure you're in, a CS or you have to, you cannot work the way men work as a woman. If you work that way, then you are off to find yourself in trouble. And therefore, you must work the way women we work. How do we work? The same way we work in our homes to sustain them. Same way you must try your best to use the same strategy, even as you, especially when you're in political office. And so the issues they've had ever since they went, both of them, the MCAs, the governor, assumed office. I mean, up to now, she had not gotten her CECs. And so you can imagine all other governors have finalized, they are moving. And you have entered into an engagement where if you continue just fighting the way they were doing, you as a governor, you will be the loser because you're the one who is supposed to constitute and establish your government. And so I remember one time I said, I wish she would use her knowledge of the pulpit in terms of how she negotiates with the people, the congregation, to try and talk to the MCAs, to sit down. Because this thing, impeachment, I don't know whether she understands the word impeachment, because you have to fight it and you must remove it from the courts and come and remove it from your CV. Because if you joke around it, it can cost you not to even assume any other office. So first of all, she has to now go and fight her impeachment. And by the way, she should be very clear. You know, she forgets, when they have impeached you, you cannot access any finances. You'll do nothing. And so
it's quite a grave situation.
Yes, it is a grave. It should not be 112 days. No, it's a grave situation because for now you are all, I mean, there's nothing that is going to happen in Meru.
Right.
For now, you cannot access funds or do anything with the national government in terms of getting from the control of budget any monies to even develop anything until you clear now this. And I wish she avoided this. Yes, I'm saying that as a woman, and I know in leadership there's no woman. We are all leaders. Yeah, so for this one, I will tell my governor in Meru, this one you had two ways. You could have avoided it just in terms of sitting down and listening. Sometimes we go down. We go down and listen.
Strategy.
Yeah, strategy.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's hear from Mheshimiwa Gathoni. Your reaction to this whole development in Meru. You know, we saw the back and forth playing out in public, in the media, leading up to now what is the impeachment of the governor by the county assembly members. What is your reaction?
First of all, I want to register my disappointment. First of all, because I know Kawira Mwangaza, governor, personally, because I worked with her and served with her in the 12th Parliament. We actually served in the same committee for some time before I was pushed out of the committee by the former regime because of associating myself with William Ruto, which I don't regret. I know Kawira Mwangaza is a very firm person, very, very firm, and believe in herself 100%. And it's normally very difficult for anybody to convince Kawira Mwangaza otherwise on what she doesn't believe in. That I can tell you. So I saw this coming. I think I registered as one of the first person because I'm the current chair of KEWOPA, and I was very concerned about how things were rolling on from day one when she was sworn in. And I personally called her and I told her, you know, Governor, congratulations, you have been voted in overwhelmingly, but I foresee a lot of challenges. And we had a very, very lengthy discussion. And I told her, you know, first of all, you came in as an independent candidate. You have no single MCA with you. And you actually did not even participate to assist other MCAs during your campaigns. She did a solo campaign. Solo means she was only selling her candidature alone. Even her area MCA, her home MCA, was not in her campaign trail. And I told her, I foresee a lot of challenges for you. So the first assignment you need to do, and I talked to her in my capacity as her chair, because I was her chair, in my capacity as a personal friend, because I believe I am her friend, and also in my capacity as a media advisor, because that's what I do as my side hustle. And I told her, I think you need to reach out to all the MCAs, reach out to county leadership, especially your MPs, because she was really away from, you know, even the MPs that were elected, and have a cup of tea. And I saw her trying that. She invited about 4 MPs in her house. They had cup of teas and they, I believe they spoke. But I saw this coming, and it's very unfortunate. First of all, coming from a county where we were just celebrating the achievement of having a woman governor, knowing that it is very difficult and very limited in this country to have a woman governor elected democratically. And therefore, I feel that this is a loss to the women fraternity, especially in the political leadership. And I see a bigger challenge coming forward, going forward, because you will know, once you have that tag of impeached governor, that tag is very, very heavy on you. Because
it's a shadow that follows you.
Exactly. Going forward, journey. She will have a lot of challenges. Assume even this doesn't go through in Senate, which I foresee a challenge even in Senate, because Kawira Mwangaza as a person has not made allies. She has not made allies in her county, in her neighboring counties, and even in the Senate, even in the current parliament, the 13th parliament. So I foresee a lot of challenges for her going forward.
All right.
And it's rather unfortunate. However, we are not going to throw away the baby and the water. We as women, we still have to hold on what God gave us. God gave us a Kawira governor, a woman governor. And you know, you don't run away from your friends. Even when they're in the wrong, I know Kawira may not be on the 100% plate of, you know, right or wrong, but I think on this one, she may have her own shortcomings, but as a woman, personally, I will stand with Kawira Mwangaza.
All right.
I will defend her where I can. I will support her where I can. I will correct her like I have done in the past to make sure that if she survives the Senate onslaught, she will be a good manager. But I can tell you something about Kawira Mwangaza. Being a bishop and having run a church for some time, and having come from the pulpit, she's one of those women whom you can believe that she's going to deliver every coin to the people of Meru.
All right.
She has micromanaged GAF because she was the women rep for Meru. She used GAF to get to her popularity because she shared every little shilling that was entrusted unto her to the people of Meru.
All right.
Yes.
We'll have to take a quick break here on M Live. When we come back, we'll hear from Mheshimiwa Catherine as well as Wanjiru on this particular matter. Then we'll move into our conversation this morning. The hashtag to use this morning is M Live NTV, at NTV Kenya, at Zainab Ismail. Talk to us. We'll be back in a short while.
Happy holidays! Have you spotted the Dancing Santa on NTV? SMS the name of the show to 20686. Become the 10th person to do so and win amazing prizes. NTV, turning on your world.
On my dark marks, I've tried everything from A to Z, even vitamin C, but hardly any results. Nivea Lumina 630 works from day one, with visible results in just 2 weeks and 71% dark marks reduction in 12. Join the 1 million women already using the #1 Lumina 630 from Nivea.
Did you know shorter is better on YouTube Shorts? Stand a chance to win cash or free data every day. Buy the daily YouTube for 10 bundle and stand a chance to win cash or free data every day. Buy the YouTube for 10 bob bundle. Create a YouTube short with a hashtag shorter is better. Best video with the most likes stands a chance to win weekly cash prizes.
This week on Daring Abroad.
We really have a very good reputation here.
How Kenyans have taken Jersey Island's hospitality industry by storm.
There are several hotels here in town. Every department is represented by a Kenyan, from the receptionist all the way to the chef, housekeeping, restaurant.
Also on the show, our daring experience in Zanzibar as SafariLink spreads its wings to the island.
Zanzibar is extremely popular around the world. We have a lot of American citizens, Canadians, and then of course Europe.
This Saturday at 7:30 p.m. on NTV.
Crystal Rivers Residences, the future of fine living.
Looking for a job? Welcome to the Nation Huawei Job Fair 2022, where your search might just end up with you walking out with a job. Come ready with a soft copy of your CV and other testimonials. Registrations will be done at Huawei Digitrack, stationed at the entrance. For more details, call Enoch on 0718-113-422 or Calvet on 0725-018-876. Email bkipkirui@ke.nationmedia.com.
Just 17 months ago, Spain made a run to the semi-finals at Euro 2020, heightening expectations ahead of the 2022 World Cup. That Spain failed to meet those expectations has brought disappointment and the exit of manager Luis Enrique. Just 17 months ago, that seemed so unlikely, but alas, is now the reality.
Crystal Rivers Residences, the future of fine living.
All right, thank you for staying with us. You're watching M Live on NTV. Let's just wind up on a couple of more stories here in the paper. I was getting to Mheshimiwa Catherine Omanyo, Busia Woman County Member of Parliament. Let me get your view as well, just very quickly, Mheshimiwa, on this issue of the Meru County Governor Kawira Mwangaza, who's just been shown the door after only 112 days in office.
It's actually reprehensible. In 112 days, what has she done? If they were talking of funds embezzled in the county and no projects, she's done nothing, then that would be okay. But the catcalling, the way they're even describing her, if you spoke to some of them, it's misogynistic characters ahead, and notwithstanding this, that you know the way they say mwanamke, huyu mwanamke, it just teaches us or tells us, the whole nation, where we are still at. We still have so uncivilized people, and people who cannot be even a role model to their own daughters as fathers in authority places, in power places. If you never respected your mother, you never respected your wife, you don't even respect your daughter or don't care what your daughter becomes, then you'll be in the forefront pointing fingers. But in 112 days, this is too early to even tell the world that she's not worked or she is this and that.
But would you say and look at the accusations that have been leveled against her as, you know, not holding enough water, or because it appears that, you know, you're saying this is a political witch hunt?
It is. It is. Because in 112 days, we've seen governors doing grievous, you know, things that you can't even talk about in the public, bad things, and nobody ran to impeach them. And in 112 days, surely, do you have even enough to tell the world that this governor is the worst of the worst? We don't need her. I think it's a shame to this MCS, what they are doing, whoever is pushing them, because sometimes they say, do not attack the dog, look at the master. There's somebody behind it who's really desperate to have the seat. But I'm praying that the Senate looks into it politically and solve it politically as well, because this is not anything to do with professional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's say from Wanjiru.
Yeah, I mean, for me, of course, it is very sad because, you know, being one of the 7 female governors that we had, you know, sitting in the Council of Governors and even heading the Meru County, I mean, it's of course very sad. But then again, the thing about politics is that it is an interconnected web of so many negotiations, distribution of resources, negotiation of all of these resources. And sometimes, you know, it gets a bit complicated because, you know, she came in as an independent candidate, so I understand how, like, the negotiation, you know, could have gone the way it went, or like something could have gone wrong in the interconnected webness, you know, of this politics. And I do really, you know, appreciate my fellow panelists for the solidarity that they have showed, even as, you know, as women political leaders, and standing with Kawere and saying, listen, we're not going to, you know, we're not going to throw her under the bus. We're going to stand with her in solidarity as women leaders, and I think that is very necessary and is very important. Right. But for the impeachment, I think I mean, it's a bit too soon. 112 days for that kind of, you know, accusations. I mean, she hasn't even had the opportunity to prove, you know, her misconduct, or, you know, or her worth, or what she can actually deliver for Meru County. And so I feel like it's a bit too soon. They would have given it at least a year or something if they were really serious about, you know, about these impeachment claims, like the gross misconduct, abuse of office, gross violation. That, I mean, it takes in 112 days. I don't think it's enough time to have been that, you know, to have
substantive.
Exactly. So I'm really curious to see how, you know, how the impeachment process is going to go even in the Senate, and what kind of evidence, and, you know, like what do they have to show for this impeachment? It will be very,
and certainly we'll be looking at those developments. Now, just a quick look at what's in the Business Daily. Uhuru's 15% cut of power prices to expire this month, which means that utility reveals tariff drop was not permanent. The expiry signals costly electricity next year. So that's what we have. The Kenya Power has revealed that the cuts, which cost 26 billion, were to last for a year, a departure from the state narrative that they were permanent tariffs. Well, this signals that the higher tariffs could be reinstated, and should the Ruto administration fail to provide a package or a subsidy to retain the 15% cut, how will that look like? State also denies petrol motorists 8.5 drop in pump prices. Consumers of super petrol have once again been denied that price drop of the 8 shillings and 54 cents per litre after the state opted to share the burden of subsidizing diesel in a strategy to keep pump prices low. And finally, on the Business Daily, Nairobi, the war front for 250 billion Facebook suit. Nairobi has become the battleground for 2 Ethiopians seeking more than 250 billion from Facebook parent company Meta in compensation for victims of hate and violence allegedly fueled by the social media giant. So that's what you can find on the very front page of the Business Daily, and also a very quick look at Taifa Leo. That's what we have. Apart from that's the second page, but on Taifa Leo, this is what they have on the very front page. Binti Ruto ajitetea. And of course, this is with regards to what we've seen also happening in social media on the quote-unquote office of the first daughter, or is it? So that's interesting to perhaps I'll also want to hear from our panelists on this matter. But let me begin with Mheshimiwa Beatrice. Away from the dailies, today we want to talk about the space of women in leadership and governance in the country, just within the past 1 year, and a review of how that has been. Talk to us about your journey as a woman in politics, a leader in your own right. You've gone through quite a lot, and we just want to hear. Just give us a brief, look into Beatrice Elachi's political journey thus far.
Beatrice Elachi, the survivor.
Well, talk
she
to
has
us.
survived very seriously.
Well, well, thank you. I didn't know we were coming to do that. I thought.
Yes, the ones.
But then it's a very interesting journey, a journey that I started with women, and they're the ones who have held my hand up to where I have reached. I would never fail to say that the women, Professor Wanjiku Kabira, and many other women who gave us an opportunity. I was not alone, I think, but among that team, I think I'm the one who decided to enter into this politics. But the rest have survived within civil society, and they still do very great work, Daisy Amdani and others. And so we worked, and then the late Mishuki, I think, having worked with him and doing a few things very quietly, we learned a lot about the country. I think that is where I'm a bit privileged to have understood Kenya and some of the cultures. At that time, we had 210 constituencies, so I was able to train in all of them, by the way. And during that time is when we were genderizing the chiefs, so I was also privileged at those days. But then coming to my politics, I think, as my chair says, it's a very interesting journey. But
she calls you the survivor.
The survivor. I think it's because of the county. But it's good to have had an opportunity, first of all, to just work with women organizations. It gives you a privilege to understand what you need to achieve and how you need to work with communities, how you must appreciate different community cultures. And then it also gave me now the opportunity to join into politics. First, I worked with Kibaki through the Kibaki Tena. And so it was a journey that we learned a lot from the Wazees, as they will be called that time. But there were those Wazees are the Wazees who used to be DCs in the days. So you can imagine how they used to look at things. But then with the new constitution, I think that's where now we gain a lot as women. And we find ourselves in more space, and the fight now becomes more open, and you are able to be able to stand in any space and stand for what is what you believe is right. And so by the time I became a Secretary General of the Mbas Party, the SG of Kiraito, and I was a very strong SG. People have never known that I gave, at that time, I got 1.1 million votes.
Wow.
Yes. And I had 13 members of parliament, 98 MCAs, 2 senators, and a governor in my party. And I remember everyone left me and went to campaign. So, you know, as the SG, you have to go all over and meet. And we were number 2. All my candidates were number 2 in that, during that, in the 2013 election.
Right.
So it was something that was very interesting to learn. And I think from there on, now, when I was nominated as a senator, I came into the Senate, and the former President Uhuru and our president now, gave me an opportunity to become the whip. And it also made me learn a lot. We were very lucky to have, I normally call them scholars. So you had Orengo, you had Anyang' Nyong'o, you had Boni Khalwale, and we learned a lot from them. Boni taught me the standing orders, that never go to Parliament, and without reading standing orders, you will never understand how that house works.
Right.
And recently, it saved me. There was a committee where they decided, as women in Parliament, we cannot sit in this committee, that there are many women in the Senate. And so I read the standing orders, and I went to the Speaker. I said, this standing order says this committee needs 4 women. And we are not going, please, Speaker, ensure we do the right thing here. We cannot say we have other women. This is National Assembly, that is Senate. We have no business with their standing orders. We have business. So I think I will always appreciate that. And so then after the Senate, I go into the county.
Right.
The county of Nairobi.
Where you face the turbulence.
I tell you, it's a very interesting county. It is a county where it is run externally, not internally. And so when the businessmen or those who feel you have started now curtailing what they have been doing and their businesses, or they will just use a few MCAs, and you find yourself in a brawl that you will wonder, why are we fighting? I think even to date, Sonko has never understood why he used to fight with the people and why he was impeached. I think he doesn't understand. Because even him, by the time he's coming to fight you, not that he knows what he's fighting you, he's just fighting you. So that's why when I look at Mwangaza, I don't want to put the two scenarios together. Ours was and it was very tough, and it was very dangerous, because you walk out of the assembly, they will come and tell you many things. And so at one point when I was impeached, not that I went and be told you are going to be impeached. No. They decided to change the standing orders on the floor of the House to ensure it abides to how they will want to impeach. You are in Malindi, here they're impeaching you, and they want you to...
Did you foresee that situation at that point?
No. You see, there's nothing you're fighting for. There's no quarrel. There's nothing you have done that will make you, that you'll click into your mind that you can be impeached. Nothing. There's nothing. You've not...
So it came as quite a shocker for you?
You know, the good thing in politics, you say, the interests are many. So you look at the interest, and then they will tell you as a joke, na tutaku impeach, but you're not understanding, and the women will come and tell you, no Sonko, no peace. So you're wondering, am I being impeached because there's no peace? And which peace is this? Is it peace of money? Is it peace that you have denied somewhere some money to be taken? What is this peace? You know, it has a lot of issues. But it was very interesting. It's a very interesting story. As I always say, it's only that I've refused to finish my book. It's good, Chronicles of City Hall, to be read, because that is when you'll understand. When you come into City Hall, there are many things you must look at, many interests you must look at. Okay. I wonder how people come. Today I was just reading somewhere that, yeah, some people are removing money. Why would you remove money to come and become a chief officer in Nairobi County? And if you have removed money to become a chief officer, why would I give you? I'll take the money and I'll not give you the job. Reasons are, why? Okay. What is this that you see you must pay? And that is the challenge Nairobi always faces, not just on chief officers, on everything that they do. And it is something that the day, which I know is a very tough thing, yeah? But the day you decide to now clean Nairobi, just know, clean in 6 months, even if you leave, but you have cleaned. Yeah? It's not as easy as people think. But the good thing also with the new technology that we have, we don't need to fight anyone. You just need to improve on the different system. So that is how I find myself in the politics. And then now I had to leave the president. I remember, I've never said this. So I never told Uhuru I have left for ODM. I never. Reasons were, people think, so Elachi used to speak with the president. I never used to speak. I remember speaking only twice on very sensitive issues and telling him the truth, and you leave and you go. And so I never told him when I left. And I also never told ODM the day I joined them. So I joined them in 2019, and they never knew I've joined their party. Why? Because as women, people just, everybody would have messed the whole process. So it is important also as us women, when you realize you're in a situation that you don't know who is your friend, you try and do things just quietly. Let it come out the right time. So it came out the right time, and I had, and I want to thank His Excellency the Prime Minister, because indeed he gave me an opportunity. And that is how I vie in Dagoretti North. And by the ending now, is that it is a very sensitive constituency.
All right. Look, and I will come back to
Yes.
your experience during the campaigns, especially for this year.
Yes.
And we'll talk about that. Mheshimiwa Gathoni, your experience in politics, I know it's a long journey. Very briefly, give us, you know, an idea of how it has been for you.
Wow. I don't think I can be able to accommodate this whole story within the 20 minutes that we have. But I think mine has been a learning journey. I came from the media background, and I'm one of those that have been very aggressive when it comes to the media spaces. Right. I've done nothing else since I left secondary school other than just media. And therefore, I looked for my space within the media platform to lobby and advocate for areas and things that I thought that are worth my cause. And that is what propelled me into politics, because I realized that in the media, you may have the voice, but you don't have the opportunity to do what you say. You just say, oh, people are dying of alcoholism, but you have no opportunity to provide a solution or provide an intervention. So I felt like the media was a bit limited for me. I am vocal, yes. I am intelligent, yes. I am so resourceful, yes. But I'm not providing tangible solutions. So I decided, let me try it out in politics. And before I joined politics, I tried to just provide a solution within where I was, within my space. And therefore, I started a campaign against illicit alcohol, which was a menace and now has come back as a menace in Central Region. Right. And in the media platform where I was, I got an opportunity to actually say it like it has never been said again. I actually led a campaign for crackdown around that area. And I remember the morning that I decided I'm going to shout out that people should actually come out of their comfort zones and rescue a generation. I was arrested the same day. And I got a lot of court cases around me. Some of them I still attend to court cases even today. That is from 2013 to date. And so I went on and I started off a foundation, and I decided I'm going to start rescuing the young people from alcoholism. I am going to rehabilitate them. I am going to empower them. And somehow I became very popular. And people were somehow aligning with my agenda.
So this was in which year?
I started off, my campaign against illicit alcohol started in the year 2003.
Right.
But my very vigorous campaign, I did it in 2013. And in 2014, that's when I was arrested. I was taken to court. I got into a lot of problems, but finally I can say there was tangible results. And I remember there is that day that I decided I'm going to be on air for 4 hours, and I'm going to shout out about alcohol, illicit alcohol, and identify the people who are vending, the people who are manufacturing. And where I was broadcasting, I was in a third floor, or at a third floor, and I could see police officers waiting for me downstairs with their sirens, waiting for me to finish my broadcast so that they can arrest me. And I decided before they arrest me, I got to do it. And I did it. The former president, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, is the one who rescued me behind the bars, behind the scenes. And he told me, you know what you did was illegal. You incited the country. You were actually supposed to be in. But because you are doing it for the generation, for the people, we'll try and see how we can help you. But tomorrow, when you report to that station, do it again and again and again and again, because you're also helping me, because he was looking for an opportunity to come out, but he could not come out because the problem was more Central Kenya, and he was a president from Central Kenya, so he didn't want to look like he's fighting, or rather he's coming in to support his people in isolation. So he wanted somebody else to do it.
Right.
And I did it. And therefore, I did that, I think it was on a Saturday morning. On Sunday, he asked me whether I can go back on air and still do it. I told him, sir, you know, Sunday is a worship day for us, but Monday I'll be there. And I did it on Monday. And on Tuesday, he called all Central Kenya MPs to State House and told them to go and do what Gathoni is doing on radio. And that is where the illicit crackdown started. He gave me a medal, head of state commendation for that.
Right.
But I think the medal was not as weighty as the punishment I've gotten out of the campaign. So that's how I started off. So I realized that other than just sitting on a microphone and speaking, I need to step out and provide leadership.
So then this opened up that space for you.
Yes. So 2017, I decided I'm going to vie as a woman representative for Kiambu. And to my shock, people gave me amazing support. I got 899,000 votes. I got more votes than the president. I got more votes in my county. I got more votes than the president. And in the country, I was the third most elected person of the year. I was third most elected after the president and he's running. Was it the running mate? No, the prime minister.
Did that shock you?
Yes, it did shock me. But it also opened my eyes. It also gave me an opportunity to reevaluate myself and get to know who I am, because I didn't know who I was until I was able to do something and I saw impact. So when I was elected, I got an opportunity to actually run a rehab as a county woman MP, the first ever woman MP to start off a rehab and run it and see results. And my rehab was launched by His Excellency the President. And he was one of my fans. He kept on even referring patients to me. He referred to me Gatheri. You remember the Gatheri? Gatheri man. Yes. You remember Gatheri man?
Right.
Gatheri man, yes. So he actually followed what I was doing, and I was very happy.
Right.
But I can tell you it has not been smooth for me. You know, having been elected as the third most elected person in the country, I mean, everybody, I mean, I was the star of attack. And I got a lot of attack, especially from the men. Let me tell you, men are scared when they see a strong woman coming up. That I can tell you without blinking, because the attacks I got. I fought with my governor. My governor thought that I am becoming very popular, my governor then. And we started fighting over the same issue. I am trying to rehabilitate young men. He came up with another parallel program to take the same men I'm rehabilitating to another channel. And we started fighting. I remember there's one fierce battle we fought politically in front of the president in Kiambu.
Right.
Where the president came for a function and we are fighting in front of him because I'm saying this, he's saying this in public. And he had organized a whole battalion of young men to help me in front of the president. But I stood my ground and I said, Your Excellency, you can see what I've been going through trying to rescue a generation. But I thank God, my sister, because today I can take you to a home of a man whom I rescued, who is now a family man, a farmer, a businessman, somebody who is running his business, not one or two. I can show you about 50 people who have gone through my program and are successfully rehabilitated, and they are running their livelihood.
Right.
Now come to 2022.
Right.
I decided that I have had an opportunity to serve a county which is really huge.
Can I hold you on to that point?
Yes,
because
please.
we'll come back to 2022 and that experience.
Okay.
Mheshimiwa Catherine, we met some time back, I think, while you wanted to vie for a position for the 2017 election, and here we are. After the 2022 election, just also very briefly, your experience in politics.
I started when I was young, like her. 1 GB. People called me a girl the whole time. I started when I was 26, in 2007. This is because I watched my mom go through nasty situation after another. My dad died when we were pretty young, and she didn't know how to protect herself and us. So having lost all the, you know, her matrimonial property, the land, being beaten in front of us, I started thinking on how I can protect her and me, because I realized, oh, so women, when the husbands die, this is what happens. I thought it was normal, because she never complained. She just wept in her silence and kept quiet and kept on praying. And then praying and keeping quiet, and the situation is not changing, I started thinking on how I can change the situation. So how I just plunged myself into announcing that I was going for MP, and yet I had nothing. You know, sometimes the society looks at you how you arrive. If you don't come in a Prado, you've just arrived on a boda boda, and you're telling people you want to serve them, they laugh at first, and secondly, they judge you and ask, are you even married to start with? Because I was single anyway. But with the time I started asking, but can I marry myself? Is there any serious man here right now? We go. And they would laugh at it and stopped now asking if I'm married. And so many other things happened, violence. There was a time I ran for my life. You know, sometimes when you're smart, you can speak well, and people are gelling with you and loving you. What the opponent does is now to start disrupting. So there was a time at Our Lady of Mercy in Busia. I saw people pushing, and I thought, it will just end. But that is how they start. Before they reach you, I ran, and I didn't even realize that I was running with one issue. And how I was balancing, I couldn't. The pain, I can't remember when I was given a blow. Right. But then it's life. I could have easily said, why am I even going through all this? But I quickly, I'm the type who just pulls myself together and start again. Then I realized also there's no table. There's no table a woman will be given like that. Most women have gone through a lot by either somebody inviting you in a bedroom and then now gives you something, or it's just dubious. I can't describe well. So I decided to create my own table, come up with a menu that is palatable to the old, people living with disability, the widows, and just general society. All right. And up to now, I'm still creating that table, because there's no way you will be standing on somebody else's shoulder for a long time. Yeah.
All right. So, so those are very interesting journeys. Wanjiru, I don't know if you have any political ambitions, but, you know, from where you sit and hearing these stories, and, you know, it is quite a journey for women in politics, in governance, in leadership as well. How would you assess that, you know, process, you know, that women take in leadership and governance? Talking even from, you know, Grace Onyango, who was the Mayor of Kisumu, became the first woman member of parliament in Kenya, the likes of Philomena Chelagat. I don't know, where do you think we are looking at that journey?
All right. Okay, first of all, I'll have you know that in 2017, I was a campaign manager for a friend of mine who was vying for MCA Kileleshwa, you know, in 2017. And so I sort of understand the campaign trail, you know, from a campaign manager's perspective. And because my candidate, you know, was a woman, and she was a young woman, she was 26 years old, you know, when she was vying, and we lost, but, you know, we live to tell the story, and we live to, you know, to talk about the lessons. Yeah. When it comes to women and you know, and leadership, we do have a constitutional provision, the 2/3 majority. And every time I think about how it has not been able to pass, in my mind I just think this is not just, yes, it is about women, and it is about representation, and it is about increasing the representation. But above and beyond that, it is a constitutional provision. And when we talk about constitutional provisions, Article 2 of the Constitution says that all sovereign power belongs to the people. And so why the 2/3 majority rule really matters is because women are also people. So if we're talking about the sovereign power belonging to the people, women are people, and because women are people, we do deserve, you know, to be represented. I will never forget that we are 52%, you know, movement who was calling for the disbandment, you know, of parliament because of the 2/3 majority not being reached. And sometimes when we look at the 2/3 majority, we want to blame the women who have been elected. But then at the same time, the women are not the majority in parliament. The women are not the ones who head political parties. parties. The women are not the ones who really have, you know, like the numbers to push for this thing. And so the lack of political will for me is what really comes in between women and leadership. At the same time, we also need more men to be allies. We need more men to be rioters and to refuse to go with the bro code and to refuse to go with what the patriarchy demands of them, and to just say, listen, we must do the right thing by the Constitution. Because if we do not do that, then it means that we are creating a very dangerous precedent where you can be in contravention of the Constitution and there are no consequences at all. And this is why we are seeing some of the leaders, we are seeing where you will shoot someone and still be elected, because we've already broken that, you know, we've already broken that constitutional, what is it called, the constitutional respect and the constitution, like we have gone beyond. And it's, and you know, with the 2/3 majority, it's looked at as a small thing because it's women representative and it's about women, but then it's also a constitutional provision. It is a dangerous precedent to set, where you can get away with not fulfilling something that the Constitution deliberately and very outrightly says that we must do this thing because it is constitutional. Because sovereign power belonging to the people means it also belongs to the women, because women are people. And so where we are, we still have a long way to go. I mean, I'm glad that we have 6 governors, you know, tentative. I mean, and we have more women in parliament. We have more women in the Senate. But then we also need more. We also need people to understand that women are people. We still represent, you know, the sovereign power that the Constitution talks about. And so it's important that we have more representation in parliament, more representation at the Senate, more representation at the governor, because it is important, because we also deserve to be represented. Yeah.
Before we take a break, Mheshimiwa Beatrice, Wanjiru brings in a very important aspect of this conversation, which is the enactment of the 2/3 gender rule, which has failed tremendously. Why are we failing on this? Why have all the successive governments failed to implement the 2/3 gender rule?
It's simple, political goodwill. You see, if you want to, even without going through the process of achieving it in terms of how we've always wanted to have the formula corrected, I mean, since it's already a principle in the Constitution, political parties would have just achieved by making sure when women go to nomination, they are given their tickets directly. And within parties that are strong within the regions that you are vying in, you will win. And so for me, I've always said it's a simple thing. Political parties, the day they would want political goodwill, the day we will want. I mean, for me, the president has now brought it in parliament. It's a catch-22, but for me as a woman, I'll say the same thing I said in 2005. If indeed we are serious about achieving this thing of 2/3 and everything, women, we should not look where it is coming from. We should take it and make it and implement it. So I'm hoping as women, we have to look at it and see if indeed it will be supported in the House and pass. Then I am with that 2/3, because we have to finish that agenda. We have to finish it. Yes.
Mheshimiwa Gathoni, we've seen that bill fail in Parliament many times, several times that I've been there. You know, political goodwill, but is that the only aspect?
Yes and no. First of all, like my colleague has said, we have debated on 2/3 gender principle for over 8 times on the floor of the National Assembly.
Correct.
And every time we attempted to do that, including the previous parliament, we saw the physical goodwill, but the innate goodwill was not there from our colleagues, that is our men politicians. And even the leadership of the country has not fully embraced the idea of accommodating more women, especially on the political space. They may have accepted this in other areas, but when it comes to the political arena, there is still some resistance. But we also have a problem with our cultural burden. You know, we carry another unseen burden called culture, which is part of us. We are socialized in that culture. And that culture automatically rejects accommodation of women in leadership and political arena. And that we must agree. And therefore, those are some of the players, the force that have been playing around the issue of 2/3 gender. But I think we started on the wrong footage. The issue of 2/3 gender was packaged in a wrong way. Now I'm speaking in my capacity as a communication specialist. We approached the issue in the wrong way, we packaged it in a wrong way, and every time we speak 2/3 gender rule principle, people think of women. Yet gender doesn't automatically means women in politics or women in leadership. But every time you speak gender mainstreaming,
it goes
people
back to that.
think of how you're fighting for women, you're a feminist, and they now gang and get empowered now to fight and resist. So I think we started on the wrong footage, that I must say. And I think the way we have been packaging the issues of gender accommodation and balancing, we need to go back to the drawing board and in fact, I was speaking to a very good friend of mine, our mutual friend with Beatrice Elachi, called Sheila Adamni. And I was telling her, I think we need to go back to the round table and decide and come up with another strategy.
All right.
So every time you speak gender in parliament, men are like, oh, women want this. They don't understand that gender also includes men. Where I come from, my constituency, where I'm now elected as a member of parliament, we are suffering from gender on the other side. Right now, I think we start now campaigning around the boy child. But when I speak gender, people think she's talking about women. But right now, my boy child in my constituency is actually at risk. We need to try and get up new programs on how to accommodate the boy child back into the mainstream. So when you talk gender mainstreaming, it really doesn't mean women mainstreaming, but that's the understanding that has been there. I even had, I don't know whether in your areas it happened, but in my area, when we went to Beijing, you remember the Beijing Care Conference?
Yes.
Even our local musicians sang, and they said, oh, gender equality is giving women the opportunity to take over the country. And there were songs that were actually trending. So the way people, perceived this issue and the way we have been disseminating the information around
so there's
that
a
gender
negative connotation that has been associated with the push for at least the enactment of and the implementation of this principle.
Yes, so the forces that resist the 2/3 gender principle are not only in the political circles.
Right.
I'm trying to say it's
entrenched.
It is entrenched, yes, and we really have to come up with a new strategy on how we are going to, advocate for gender mainstreaming, not only for the political arena, but everywhere.
Well, it's interesting. We've
and
seen
I think
the president's proposals in the House of Parliament.
Before I discuss the president proposal, I think it is time for us, first of all, to audit ourselves. Since we empowered the new constitution, the 2010 constitution, which has enshrined the powers of and the opportunity to provide gender mainstreaming across the board, I think it's time for us, first of all, to audit our constitution and audit ourselves and ask ourselves, have we provided for what the Constitution of Kenya demands?
All right.
Then we look at what the president has proposed and ask ourselves, if we do what he's proposing, because he's actually giving his own opinion, are we going to achieve? And are we going to get a new route to achieving, or we are going to use the traditional ways that we've been using that have failed, because we have failed in the past? I can tell you for sure, today, even if we went back to an election today, we will still not get the required threshold for women in the political circles. So for us to achieve in the political circles, we must also work on the other areas. For example, in the executive, are we compliant? In the judiciary, are we compliant? In the media here, are you compliant?
Good question. I think we will have to take a break on that point. We'll come back. We'll come to you, Catherine Moshimo. Let's continue this conversation. We'll be taking a look at some of your comments on social media. The hashtag we're using this morning is NTV AM Live. In fact, it's AM Live NTV at NTV Kenya. Talk to us. We'll be back in a short while.
Recharge today and get upgraded.
Feliz Navidad, hijos.
This is the best Christmas ever.
Star Times. Enjoy digital life.
Karibuni sana, karibuni. Niwauzie?
Ugali matumbo batia mimi.
Ugali matumbo! Na wewe?
Ipe wali maragwe.
Wali? Wewe, mchele madando hapo. Na
nilikuwa nataka kaomena na kadoma.
Oya customer, usijali chakula yako tutakutengenezea kwa dili yako tu.
Maisha yako, mapendeleo yako. Tunukiwa na Safaricom. Chagua bei yako ya kupiga simu au data. Piga *444# au utembelee My Safaricom app upate deal poa ya kupiga simu. Uongee zaidi au ubrowse zaidi.
Nataka chapati na crips.
Mala sausage.
Nataka ugali na
Flow.
Everybody hands go up, and they stay there, and they say yeah. Me guide them jam, me no care. We take it anytime.
For the best of the 2000s, tune in every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and Sunday from 8 p.m. to 12 midnight. Rhythm and Flow.
Taking you back in the day.
Nation FM.
My name is Karanu Aweru, a resident of Nairobi, and I was privileged to be a part of those that attended the Man Cave that was organized by the NMG group. It was a great moment for men, and we learned a lot of things. I think as men there are issues that affect us, affect our masculinity, our manhood, and as men we need to keep meeting and discussing about these things. Women do a better job at such things than the men do. So it was a lovely learning moment. Although the time was short, it wasn't possible to cover all the things that we would have wanted to cover. But then again, it is not the only session, there will be other sessions. And I hope as we go, this will be a forum where men can come and open up and talk about and address the issues that affect them. The next edition of the Man Cave will be in February 2023, and we hope as many men as possible can come, and we hope to see you there.
"59 years after the Mau Mau struggle, the breaking news, one of the breaking news, a few days to this year's Jamhuri Day was about how a British national who had been reported missing was found in Kiambu drinking keg with the sons of Mau Mau."
Unapigiwa simu na mtu unazushiwa, lakini the whole time you just have to keep your calm. Uko tu ndio.
Wewe mtu amei kucall akitaka kukugonga ati nakupigia kutoka Safaricom. Mara moja. Mara moja.
Crystal Rivers Residences, the future of fine living.
I'm fine now. I'm better.
Take it easy, take it easy. If you get stressed so easily, you're going to get a lot of wrinkles.
Are you doing all of this so I'll go live with you?
What?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, Lucy, how could you even think that I would give you the best and latest tablet just because I want you to choose to live with me? Oh no, that would be unfair.
I see. Thanks, Mom. I think I'm ready to sleep over at Marcella's house. One day. Without you. Just me.
It had to be you.
Make M-Pesa Go the safe and secure way your teens go cashless. Register your 10 to 17-year-olds via the M-Pesa app or Safaricom shop. It's go time.
All right, thanks for staying with us. You're watching M Live on NTV. It's all about the space of women in the country's leadership and governance. Mheshimiwa Catherine, just as we wind up on the issue of the two-thirds gender principle, what do you think, from your own perspective, you're a woman in governance in this country, what is the issue that is ailing us when we fail to achieve this, which is already provided in the Constitution?
Actually, we lack political goodwill. Have a gander at recent appointments that happened. The president had a choice to implement during his appointments, but he didn't again. And now he's coming back with dangling another carrot of two-thirds gender rule. I think we should have leaders who know and they are not uncomfortable when a woman is successful, who want deliberately that inclusivity is the future, and they start now. Recently, I attended a training with MPs across Africa, and I liked how the MPs from Morocco and other nations were saying that nowadays, if you take a list of appointees or what to the president before it goes through, it's the president returning the list and demanding that they have a particular number of women, youth, and people living with disability on that list. So we should have leaders who have this constitution at their fingertips, knowing that we should not be breaking the law, because one time it will happen on them. So whether you are a woman or man, two-thirds gender rule is about us all. There is a time where men will be wanting to be topped up, just like women, and it is coming. Because the more we have been crushed, the more we have been oppressed, the more we are surging forward as women. And it will reach a time where women will be more in Senate, in National Assembly, and even County Assembly. And now it will be men, like she has said, it is happening already in her county where a boy child is a threat, is at a threat. So we will need all of us again to come and balance this thing. Right. So the quicker we accept that two-thirds gender rule is not about women, the better. Yeah.
So that's certainly something that perhaps we will be seeing. We have a new administration in place. Yes. You're saying we need political goodwill. We'll be seeing that. Yeah. Wanjiru, when we're looking at the elections in August, we've seen a significant number of women elected in positions of power, but still, that is not enough. Is it?
No, it's not enough, but also it's also a good step forward. I mean, having 8 women as deputy governors, you know, 3 more women at the Senate, 115 MCAs and 29 MPs, you know, in addition to the 47 women representatives. Right. It is definitely a very good thing. But the thing I usually say about women leadership, and especially, you know, if you're campaigning as a woman and you're saying that you're going to represent women and you're saying that you're going to center women in your leadership, then that's and you know. Many times when we're talking about women leadership, we usually say that women are held at a different standard and that we should not hold women to a higher standard. But then unfortunately, and this is like the reality of it all, the cost of underrepresentation is so high for us not, like the cost of underrepresentation is so high, the stakes are so high when we are underrepresented. And so unfortunately, even if it is unfair, we have to hold you to a higher standard, because if we don't, we'll continue to suffer what it means to be underrepresented. You know, and understand that my co-panelist here was talking about gender mainstreaming not being about, you know, about women. But the reality right now is women are really underrepresented. And there are things that we are going through that are not being put to the floor because we don't have the numbers in these houses. And so for me, it's important that even if we have this number of women, we should also hold them accountable, because at the end of the day, power is power. Regardless of what vessel it sits on, regardless of the gender that it sits in, power is still power, and power must be held accountable. And unfortunately for the women, and I will repeat this, we will hold you to a higher standard, not because of patriarchy, well, actually because of patriarchy, but because also the stakes are too high for us to not hold you to a higher standard. We need more things because we have been deliberately underrepresented historically for too long. And so, yes, it is enough that, yes, I mean, it's a good thing that we have more women leadership. We will need more women leadership, and we'll also need to continue holding them to a higher standard, because our lives basically depend on it, because a lot of our a lot of our lives are determined by the political decisions that are made. And if we're not represented when those political decisions are being made, then it becomes very difficult and the stakes become too high and it becomes too expensive for us not to be represented. So in addition to having more women, we should still hold them accountable and not say that just because you're a woman, this is gender, this is that. It's politics, it's negotiation of resources. You must also understand who it is that you represent, who you're going to center in your leadership, and how you also relate to being held accountable to the power that you carry, because power is power. At the end of the day,
But even as you know, I think we've seen this happening not just on social media, in the public. Whenever there are women who come out to agitate for gender equality and the likes, they're branded feminist, which has been given a negative, reference to it, which basically a feminist is a good thing. But it appears that being called a feminist is a bad thing.
Yes.
We have men who are feminists.
I mean,
there's nothing wrong
let
with that.
Let me speak about being called up, because I am a feminist, and every time like my bio reads feminist, so every time you say something, you're called a toxic, bitter, whatever feminist, and which is okay. There's nothing about patriarchy and being oppressed that is going to make me happy and bubbly and whatever. These things, we are literally dying. So if I'm not bitter about the state of then I mean, what are we really talking about? And then another thing that I really wanted to say is that every time someone is privileged, equality feels like they're taking something away from them. And I have no problem making you uncomfortable, because if you have too much, it means someone has too little. And therefore you need to redistribute that power. You need to redistribute those that kind of privilege. And so for me, I don't mind if you think I am, because I am actually toxic, I am actually bitter, because you're too privileged, and because of your privilege, it is at the expense of somebody else. And so it must be redistributed. The power must be redistributed, resources must be redistributed. And if you're privileged and you're feeling uncomfortable with inequality, and you're feeling uncomfortable with equality and equity, then it means that we are doing the right thing, and we need to continue doing this thing that makes you uncomfortable and redistribute the power, because there is an actual cost of you having that much privilege and you having that much power.
Right. Mheshimiwa Catherine, you wanted to add to that?
Yes, because it's sometimes even women in parties, they are intimidated by the party leaders, who unfortunately are men. Because if maybe a list, or maybe, for example, recently we had chairs of different committees at the National Assembly, and the president wants so and so and so period. So if the women in there would realize and say, no, we don't have enough women in these dockets, and they would be told to shut up. So we have hypocrisy also in our leadership. When PR stands, like when you're at the rally, you'll be saying, I would love 50-50, women and men to share these. But now on the real table, what exactly are you?
Things are different.
When you are now drawing your chart, who are you? You don't have women in your heart at all. We are only important when it comes to voting, and when we are desperate to get there. So we will shout and talk about it openly this way. And me, actually, if anybody texted me and told me, be careful, you'll be a one term. Let me be one term, but I've made sure that women somewhere are not suffocated. But I'll not be intimidated by anybody when it comes to women. And women actually deliver. It's just that when they are there, look at what is happening at Kawira. Does she even have time to go back to her manifesto when every day it is left and right? Imagine if it was a male governor. The first lady of the county would be having a docket just for her, already, well elaborated. But now that the constitution didn't say anything about the first husband in the counties, and maybe in future at the president's level, it's change, and people resist change. What is so wrong with me working with my husband, and my husband advising, and my husband also putting something on the decision-making table and telling me no, because he knows me well. He knows my weaknesses, he knows my strengths. When I'm going a bit high, there's a way he'll look at me and I know, oh, I'm messing here. So what is so wrong with the husband also gelling along in creating the county? So I have heard and read comments, people throwing fists, verbally, at the husband as well. What is he doing there and all that? If it was a male governor working with the wife, what will they be saying? It will be so normal because that is the first lady.
The predecessor governor was working with
All right.
Yeah.
The wife was actually more active than the governor himself.
Exactly. But you mentioned an interesting point when it comes to, when we go back to the political parties itself. Mheshimiwa Beatrice, I mean, when we're looking at the rules and measures within the political parties, do they promote gender equality in our country? And, you know, looking at the democracy that we have?
They don't. If they did, today we wouldn't be here speaking of only 30 women, and now we are going to lose Kandara. Now we are back to 29. I mean, if it's as simple, imagine in Kandara, if the party leader would have just said, no, I've taken my CS, she's a woman, and for that, I'm giving you, the women who are campaigning, we are giving you the ticket. They would have won. They would have won, that's it. But they took them into a nomination, knowing very well it will be very, I mean, competitive. And that's how you just lose a seat. So I've said political parties, the day they will want, women will be in parliament without even going through all these routes we are looking for. And not just that. Look at now the leadership in parliament. So you find the majority leader, a man, the deputy majority leader, a man.
Right.
So by the time they are giving you, okay, fine, they will give you deputy whip. Deputy. Who said we should be deputy? And who said we don't know how to handle these things? Because when political leaders are fighting a battle, do you know it is the women who become more emotional than the men, and the women are the ones who stand firm to fight for that cause. Then now when it comes now to rewarding, it is a very different thing. When you find people who mess their leaders in political parties are men. Are men. But you'll be so shocked, again, the same men, they will go through a very simple process and things will work out for them. If it is a woman, plus the supporters, they will come for you. They will say, well, why am I going far? Just recently, I was talking about our 4 commissioners. And as an Azimio person, I felt sometimes there are battles you look at and you realize, here I need to ask myself, in the end, will I be with the team or I'll be left alone battling my battle? And you'll be left alone. That's how politics is. And so the best, since the tribunal has been set, if you can, resign and go negotiate for you. And I keep on saying that, and people think it's a joke. It's not a joke, because I know that family at one point is going to struggle. We will never remember that they stick there. They went home because of us. We won't remember. We are lying to them. And so what am I trying to say? Is that you find ourselves in a situation, women will always be the worst hit. And because sometimes we get into an emotional depression, we are also very, very sensitive in how we look at things. And we feel very disappointed sometimes when we are hurt. And so you want to keep off. But inside you are hurting. And it continues hurting you. And that's how women are very emotional in politics than men. Men can do anything and dust themselves and move on. Women, today, I think women, we are more emotional still looking at our politics as if we are still in a campaign. And the men moved on. They are doing business. They've moved on.
And by the way, let me just come back to the issue that I'd asked before, then I'll get your response from Mheshimiwa Gathoni and Catherine as well. The political structures that we have, do we have a set fair rules for men and women? In your experience during the campaigns for this year, how was it?
Wow, it was very interesting. You see, women, you will go through, your campaign is staged by others in terms of who you are, why are you married? Are you single? How many men have you have? How many children do you have? Are they all for one man? Instead of issues. And so you'll find your opponent will, for me, they did 2 ID cards. One is from Nyeri and the other one is from Western. And so I am Beatrice Wamboi, according to them, and this other side. And you see, for me, from the word go, from 2017, when I vied from that issue of my mother being a Kikuyu and my father being a Luya, was the dangling carrot of how a male campaign can be very vicious on you. And the others would say, she won't be able to work. She resigned as a speaker. Who resigns? You see, because they have no idea that women, our values are so different. That we believe that if you know this is something you can do right, and people have decided, I would rather walk away with my name. And my name is more critical. I always tell people, let me tell you one thing, my name comes first than money, my name.
So you have to protect that.
I have to, and not just me.
Brand.
Every woman will protect their name. They would rather lose everything. But and that is why women, even in domestic violence, before she comes out to scream that things are hot, she'll come out not for her wish. It is when she's on the run, she's about to be killed. But every day maybe she has gone through that domestic violence, but because her name, her family, her children comes first. And that is why women, we will always be women and strong, stronger than our male colleagues. And that is why we shall always face the battle with our male colleagues. Why? They know. We are going to prove, even now we are going to prove. I know me and Mheshimiwa, we will prove when you give women a position, you work for that position. But then the day the men will come to want to take that position, they will make sure even the citizens will not remember where you got the constituency, where the constituency is. They will bring a very different agenda. It will be your personal agenda. That is why I always say also, when we are in this politics, that is why women cannot go to dance. Not that dancing is bad. Dancing is important because it relieves your stress. But because you'll go and dance and they'll say, look at that woman dancing. Women,
you're held to a different standard.
Oh, very, very different standard. In fact, you are held to a culture that is not of a human being. You're supposed to be something else.
From Mheshimiwa Gathoni, you know, very quickly, because we are running out of time, your experience in this campaign, at least for 2022, as we, you know, we're reviewing the year, and also that standard that women, especially in governance, are held.
Thank you. I think that's a very viable question now, because we would want to prepare as many women who are watching us and listening to us and following us to try and get into politics. Not because politics for women is bad, but we need to be many so that we can demystify the myths around women in politics. I decided to vie for a single constituency MP seat in 2022, coming from a woman representative position. And I can tell you, it's not as smooth as people imagine. I was vying against 11 male counterparts. And one of them was an incumbent MP who I was trying to snatch the seat from. So you can imagine the mudslinging and the fights and the tensions and the name calling and the branding and the sex objectivation and all those manner of characters. But I can tell you, like my colleague Beatrice has said, if the party wants a woman candidate to win, the party can decide whether we are going to have more women in parliament or not. Because for me, the support I got from the party is what actually propelled me to win. If my party never supported me, if my party never gave me the opportunity, my party leader particularly wanted me to win in Githunguri. He actually came in person to make sure that he campaigned for me.
So at least you have
how I wish that all party leaders would do that. So in as much as we struggle as women, we also need to be supported. my party leader coming on top of his vehicle and saying huyu mrembo nataka munipatie huyu mrembo kama kiongozi wenyu kwa sababu anaweza kufanya 1 2 3. He actually talks even to the men who are a bit resistant, like where I am elected, I'm the first woman MP ever.
Yeah.
And they had that issue of we have never had a woman MP, and I don't think we are yet there where women can be given
but
the
here
opportunity.
You are,
yes,
right?
but I'm trying to say it's not easy for a woman to go and change the paradigm of political leadership in an area alone. It must be a force. You know, we have to create a force around a woman candidature so that we can be able to have as many women as possible. But I'm not discouraging women from getting in. I'm just trying to ask women to take it positively and go for it.
Okay.
Yes.
We're almost running out of time, but I'll give you Mheshimiwa Catherine very quickly.
The barriers are still too many. The impediments need to be uprooted, even through those journalists who announce anything that has happened to a woman in campaigns, maybe violence or things like those. Because sometimes even journalists just read news for the sake of finishing their session because they were working.
Right.
But if we had journalists who understand the source, the stretch, the journey that a woman has come, they will take it even personal and now announce it in a way that is not really being a monotony. Because I've had a few people.
Also has a role
yes,
in this,
because I've had people say, tena wanatangaza maneno ya wamama. So I'm like, how they put it also, it matters. So it's not just the party leaders, but it goes all the way to anybody given some power to exercise wherever they are. What they say about a woman matters.
Like
a holistic approach.
Look at your headlines today. You're saying advice as the president. You can only afford to put 2 women against 9 men.
Well, I will have to take a look at the dailies vizuri. Wanjiru, we've run out of time. 2 words from you?
Yes, number one, I really want to see...
Not number one, to just...
Okay, so
10 seconds.
I'd really want to see more support for the young women who vied for the first time and did not win the election, so that they can be encouraged to run again. And then I also want to just appreciate the women organizers and mobilizers who usually propel the women that we're seeing here today, because it takes like an army of women. And so I just want to appreciate that army of women, the mobilizers, the organizers, yes, and yeah.
And I don't know if I asked you before, you didn't answer if you have any political ambitions, but you have all these beautiful women here who have all this, you know,
by being a strategist.
Wonderful advice.
That's why we didn't want to expound what we went through during campaigns, so that she doesn't fear.
Oh,
if I tell her that we didn't even, you know, like for us in our party, we were standing on top of vehicles.
Yes.
You know, when you're doing campaigns. If I tell her that, she will not want to become an...
Thank you so much, Wanjiru Nguhi, Fumbua Program Manager, Baraza Media Lab, Catherine Omanyo Busia, Woman County Member of Parliament, Gathoni Wamushomba, Githunguri Member of Parliament, and Beatrice Elachi, Dagoretti North Legislator. Thank you so much, ladies, for coming in this morning to have this conversation. I hope we